Today on Keep Shooting Monday, I've got a new toy to review. I wonder what it is. Hey everyone, Greg Cazillo from Cazillo.com. Welcome to Keep Shooting Monday number 45. You have about 5 days left to post your photos for the studio photo assignment over on the forum. So get some of those together. We don't have a lot of submissions, so make sure you get those in. You can possibly win it pretty easily. There's some good photos there, but you might get your photo listed pretty easily since there's not that many entries. So get them up by this Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Posted over to the forum. Canon released this new white body. They called it SL1 X7, SL1 Kiss X7. Why they gave just a white version, and as far as I know this is the case, a white version of the Rebel, such a long name, I have no idea. So SL1 Kiss X7. Weird name. Whatever, that's Canon for you. Sorry, Canon lovers, but that's Canon for you. NASA put together this composited image of Saturn, Mars, Venus, I think it was Venus, and Earth. Was that the other one? Yeah, Saturn, Venus, Mars, and Earth all in one image. This is really cool. If you're into space and looking at photos of space, this thing is pretty neat. Also in news this week, Nikon released new firmware for the 3100, 3200, 5100, 5200, and P7700. Yes, that's the list. But all it did was fix battery level detection issues. I'm guessing it shuts off rather quickly when there's actually still battery left, or maybe vice versa, not sure. But yeah, here's a link and you can head over there. Another thing that I found this week was National Geographic is hosting their annual photo competition, which has some really awesome prizes. There is some stiff competition in this one. There's some really neat photos already posted. Here's a link to those and a preview of a couple of them. The one thing that you see in all of these photos is that you have to be in the right place at the right time. Each and every one of these is someone that had a camera, it was in the right place at the right time with the right light and had good exposure and knew what they were doing. I mean, maybe one or two of them are just people getting lucky. It's hard to say, but they really look like the photographers were really paying attention, knew what they were doing, and were ready to go and shoot. So it's a tip to always work on that and get better all the time. Next, Cazillion questions. How to take HDR pictures. What exposure to start with. Also, how to post-process HDR images. David, I am by far not an expert on HDR. You may have noticed that I have never really posted anything about HDR because I'm not an expert. I'm not a big fan. To me, they all look fake, or at least 99% of them look fake. There's very few that don't look like they are an HDR photo. That said, there are some cool ones out there, but I'm just not a fan of heavily photoshopping stuff. It's just I've just never been a fan of that. Like there was this viral video that was going around this week where I think it had like 2 million views or something on YouTube, where someone photoshopped this model and did all this work to her. And yeah, she's beautiful, but you know what? She was beautiful to start with. And so anyway, I'm not a big of HDR. That said, there's no base exposure that always works. You have to find your exposure. What I would do if I was going to attempt it is I would get a good range of exposures. Head over to this video. It'll give you an explanation of how to use your bracketing, and maybe someone in the comments can add some comments or some thoughts on that with somebody with a lot more experience in HDR than me. What I'd probably want to do is in half stop increments or 2/3 of a stop increments, maybe shoot, say, 5 exposures or 7 exposures starting out maybe, you know, 2 stops under, 2.5 stops under, over to 2 or 2.5 stops over, get a good wide range. Then you can play with your images in order to get that good base exposure. Now you can do the post-processing in Lightroom or in Photoshop. Photoshop's going to do a better job. You're going to have a lot more control, and you can automatically layer those images into a single 32-bit image, which is going to give you the most control and to be able to do a lot with the image. So that's probably the best way to go. I do some searches on the web for HDR post-processing, and I'm sure you're going to find some really good images and some good tutorials, even some stuff here on YouTube. What is the difference between macro photo and extreme close-up? Macro photography is taking a photo that is greater, or producing a photo, I could say, that is greater than life size. So if, say, it's a photo of, you know, an ant and it's really blown up and, you know, it's 16 by 20 or something like that, that's macro, basically greater than life size. Whereas extreme close-up, you can kind of define it the same, and it kind of, you know, they're very, very close. But to me, an extreme close-up would say be like half of my face, you know what I mean? Or a third of my face, like just this area right here. That to me would be more of an, you know, a close-up or extreme close-up, or maybe just my eye is an extreme close-up. But depending upon your definition, it could also be considered to be macro. If you're explaining it to your clients, I don't know that you really need to, I can't see a situation where I would need to explain that to a client or a friend. Yeah, I don't see why you would be getting that question often, and having to explain it often. I'd be interested to see the use case of that and why it would matter. As long as you're producing the image that they want, I don't think it really is going to make a difference. What are the best lenses for portraits? If you've seen this video before, it's almost up to 100,000 views. I intentionally labeled it this way and named it this way so that it would get more views. And the funny thing about this video is that I disagree with one thing. I disagree with people calling a 50mm lens a portrait lens. What the people took it as is that I don't like to shoot portraits with a 50mm. And that's completely wrong. So, bottom line, you can use any lens to shoot a portrait. You absolutely can. If you want to make this really funky, weird photograph and shoot it with a, you know, a 10.5mm lens so that it looks like they're looking in a funhouse mirror, then great. Or if you want to take a, you know, a 600mm 2.8 lens or f4 lens and create a portrait with that, awesome. It's still a portrait. It's a lens that you use with a portrait. Now, your classic portrait lens is typically an 85mm or a 135, somewhere in that range. I really like using my 70-200 2.8 for portraits. I like the look of it and the way that it works for me. Basically, you need to develop your own style of how you want the image to look, and just work with it. See what other people are using. Maybe go into Flickr or 500 pics and find a portrait that you like, see what lens they used, and the distances they were standing at, all that kind of thing. But pretty much any lens can be used as a portrait lens. But the funny thing about that video, which nobody understood, and I'm still getting comments to that video, I think it's like a year later or 9 months later since I posted that video, they still don't understand that it was just the name portrait lens, because people call that a great portrait lens, and it's not a great portrait lens. It should not be called a portrait lens because it doesn't create great headshots, because you get that extra distortion and it doesn't look right. In order to get a good headshot, in my opinion, you need to be using a longer lens so that you don't have as much distortion, so it doesn't make the nose bigger and the ears farther back, and basically distorting the face in those headshots, in those closer images. But for, you know, full body, 3/4 length, a 50mm is great. My definition of a portrait lens is an image that, or a lens that can create an image without distortion, because that's how I like to see my portraits. So basically, check out this video. You might enjoy it, you might not. But overall, any lens, as long as you like the final image and your client likes the final image if they're paying for it, that's all that matters. It can be used to shoot a portrait. Adorama was nice enough literally today to ship over this Glow Hexapop small strobe softbox. I really like it so far. I think the design is really good. I haven't seen the quality of the light yet because I haven't, literally just came in the mail today, like 2 hours ago or something like that. So just walked in the door. Comes with this nice little case, cool little bag that you can carry it in, nice and lightweight. And the whole unit is very lightweight, which is good. To put it together, first, spin this around here for you. Put it together, you take this top frame and you slide it down on this here, and then you can tighten that down. Now, for some reason, my model did not come with this angle bracket right here, which will allow you to take that angle and adjust it up or down. Obviously, that is a requirement when you're using it on a stand. If you're not using it on a stand and you're using it on a tripod, because a lot of beginning photographers don't already have stands, but they will typically have a tripod, then you wouldn't need this. You'd be able to use the tripod head or the motion of the head, the tripod head or the ball head on the top to be able to angle it up and down like this. But for some reason mine didn't come with it. I'm going to talk to Adorama and see what's going on there. But anyway, when putting a flash on, I like to mount it on an angle, and I do this with a lot of my strobes. Instead of having it in the normal angle straight on like this and then put it on, I like to turn it that 90 degrees. And the reason for that is I like to have this sensor, which is the sensor that is used for the Nikon CLS system, out and pointing towards the camera. So I wouldn't say that this is exactly designed to do this, but it works and it stays together fine. So it just doesn't fit in the little track that's right here, but you know, it works and does the job. So I'm going to slide that in and I'm going to lock it. And I'm actually going to take this back off of here. So the next thing I would need to do is slide this down to get the height right, which is easy. And then I just need to take that, loosen that, and slide this bad boy in here, and then tighten that back up. And then I can drop it right back down into here, and I'm done. And actually, I'm going to go this way. All right, so now I have it all mounted and ready to go. Last part is actually just popping these out. But I'm going to be interested in looking at this and shooting with this two ways. With it kind of closed like this, with a very, you know what I mean, very kind of smaller pattern, as well as all the way open. And the key to this unit is that there's no extra bars. It's all together, and it's all in one unit, and it's real easy to put together and take apart. All you got to do is pull each of these bars out like this, and I don't know, there's however many of them. I guess I have one more here that I need to pop. There you go. So there is the softbox, and it's all out and ready to go. But like I said, I think it would be interesting to see it in that smaller configuration so that you had a little bit tighter pattern of light, as well as this wider pattern. And again, this is the 24-inch version, and we'll try it out for you, see how it goes. But so far, I think it's a really well-designed unit. The fabric looks like it's going to hold up well. It's very easy to break back down. All I have to do, there's two buttons right here, and all I have to do is squeeze them, and bam. And I guess that's why they call it a pop or a Hexapop, because it just pops right back down. They're spring-loaded, and then you can take it apart and put it right back into the bag. So yeah, so far so good. I'll try it out. I'll shoot some photos with it for you, compare it to some of my other units that I have. But this thing, so far, I like it. I think it's a good design, nice and easy to use, very lightweight, portable. I could easily get it into another bag if I needed to, since it does, you know, so far, it's so compact, it breaks so far down, so that's a good thing. For some reason, like I said, the only thing I'm not sure about is why my model did not come with this angle bracket, but I have a question at Adorama, and we'll figure that out. So, questions on the Glow Hexapop, I will gladly answer those. You can head over to this link and pick one up if you would like. In the meantime, need some more questions for next week's Keep Shooting Monday. Make sure you get your studio photos posted over to the forum. Greg Cazillo, Cazillo.com. Thanks, guys. Keep shooting.